I never imagined an ordinary Thursday morning could feel like the moment my whole world quietly slipped out of place. My name is Ethan. I'm 39, and I've spent the last 12 years married to Clara. 12 years filled with laughter, shared rituals, private jokes, and all the small, wordless signals that made me believe we were solid. Steady. Us. At least, that's what I thought. That morning began like any other, sunlight leaking through the blinds, the familiar hum of our aging coffee maker warming the kitchen. Clara wasn't up yet, which didn't strike me as strange. She loved to linger in bed, reading or scribbling in that worn notebook of hers before the day fully began. I stretched, dragged myself toward the living room, and then I saw it. A white envelope placed with careful precision in the center of the coffee table. My name written across the front in Clara's tidy handwriting. So neat, so deliberate it made my chest tighten. I picked it up. The envelope felt heavier than it should. My fingers shook as I opened it, sliding out a stack of documents. Divorce papers. The kind of thing other people talk about. The kind of thing that happens far away. From you, from your routines, from your living room. But suddenly it was right there, staring at me with its cold, official language. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Immediate upon signature. I stared at the pages for what felt like forever. Memories flooded in. Our first date at that cozy Italian restaurant where she'd spilled marinara on her blouse and laughed until the whole place joined in. The time we got soaked on a camping trip and ended up dancing in a tent to the rhythm of rain. Even the stupid arguments. Laundry, dishes, who forgot to turn off the lights. Nothing we couldn't patch up. Nothing that hinted at this. I sat down, holding the papers like an object from some other life. I heard Clara upstairs, humming faintly, as if nothing had shifted. My mind spun. Was she serious? Was this a test? A scare tactic? My stomach twisted. But beneath all the fear, something unexpected stirred. A kind of clarity. Maybe it was the shock. Maybe it was the weight of 12 shared years. Maybe it was the realization that if this was meant to intimidate me, it only would if I allowed it to. I flipped through the pages searching for an error, a missing line, some sign this wasn't real. But it was perfect, precise, exactly the way Clara approached anything she'd thought about for too long. And something inside me settled. I picked up a pen. My instincts screamed to wait, confront her, demand answers. But then I remembered every time we'd dodged confrontation, every passive-aggressive note on the fridge, every stretch of silence after an argument. Sometimes the boldest move isn't fighting. Sometimes it's stepping straight through the moment instead of around it. So I signed. Slow, steady strokes. My name again and again. I paused before the final line, breathed in, then finished it. A strange mix of dread and relief washed through me as the ink dried. I placed the papers back exactly where she'd left them. Her footsteps approached. She came down the stairs, stepped into the room, saw the documents, and froze. Her eyes snapped up to mine. "Ethan," she whispered, disbelief trembling in her voice. I didn't speak. I gave her a small, calm smile. Not smug. Not bitter. Just steady. The room shifted. It felt like 12 years of swallowed words, buried frustrations, and quiet hurts floated between us all at once. Clara's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Her eyes flickered with something I couldn't quite name. Shock, uncertainty, maybe even fear. She sank into the armchair, fingers knotting together. You signed them." I nodded. I did. Silence pressed in around us. The clock clicked too loudly. The coffee maker hummed like a distant engine. "I didn't think you would," she said softly. "I thought you'd argue. Or beg. Or get angry." A small, wry smile tugged at my lips. That's exactly what I didn't want to do. This morning I realized something. All the fighting. All the pleading. All the late-night arguments. It never solved anything. It only kept us spinning in the same exhausting loop. I was done playing that game. When her eyes filled, I caught a flicker of something I didn't expect. Guilt. Not the neat, mover kind of guilt, but the raw, disorienting kind that forces you to confront your own part in the damage. Clara's shoulders slumped, as though all the years we'd carried suddenly settled on her at once. For the first time in a long while, she seemed small, exposed, human. I thought this would scare you into noticing me again, she whispered, voice shaking. I wanted you to fight for me, to show me I mattered. I eased back, keeping my voice steady. Clara, I did notice you. I've always noticed you. But noticing doesn't fix anything if the other person doesn't feel it. I've spent years trying to repair things that never felt broken to me. They were broken for you, and maybe, in a way, for both of us. Her lips trembled as she glanced down at the documents. I never meant for it to get to this point. I know, I said softly. Neither did I. But here we are. And instead of fear or anger, I feel clarity, even freedom. Not because I want to leave you, but because I finally understand that staying trapped in cycles of manipulation or quiet resentment doesn't help either of us. She wiped her cheeks, and the way her posture folded inward made her seem years younger. Suddenly I noticed things I hadn't paid attention to in ages, the freckles across her hands, the nervous curve of her smile, the way she bit her lip when she was anxious. She was still the woman I'd married. Flawed, intricate, deeply human. I was just trying to get your attention, she said, voice barely above a breath. I never expected you to actually sign them. I signed, I replied gently, because I needed to choose for myself, because I realized pretending to play along with a strategy doesn't create happiness. You wanted me to panic or beg. Instead, I chose to stay calm. The silence that followed was long and fragile. I heard her breathing, uneven, hesitant. Then she surprised me. I think I underestimated you. Not your feelings. I just didn't think you'd have the strength to stay composed. I imagined you'd react the way most people do. A tiny smile tugged at my lips. Courage isn't shouting or breaking down. It's knowing what's right for you and holding to it, even when emotions are running wild. I learned that today. Clara leaned back, exhaling slowly. Her hands loosened. And for the first time in months, the space between us wasn't a silent war zone. It felt like a tentative truce, delicate, but real. Honest, even. She looked at the papers again, a small, almost bewildered smile forming. I didn't think it would feel like this. I thought signing would destroy you, or me. But it didn't. It just shifted something. It brought clarity, I said. For both of us. For the first time in years, I know exactly where I stand. Maybe that's what we needed, a moment to see ourselves without fear or pressure or old expectations. She let out a soft, embarrassed laugh. You always did manage to surprise me. I shrugged lightly, feeling a bittersweet mix of relief and sorrow. And you never thought I would. No, she admitted. But maybe that's good. Maybe it's the only way we could finally see each other as equals again, even if only for a moment. I breathed out slowly, feeling something lift from my chest. 12 years, countless arguments, endless compromises, and in the end, it took one simple act, signing those papers, to break a cycle we didn't even know we were trapped in. Clara looked at me with soft, steady eyes. Whatever happens next, thank you. For being honest. And for staying calm. I needed that more than I realized. I nodded, letting her words settle between us. The signed divorce papers sat on the table, final and unmistakable. Yet in that quiet room, they didn't feel like an ending. They felt like a beginning. Not necessarily together, not necessarily apart, but a beginning built on clarity, truth, and the honesty we'd been missing for so long. And in that stillness, I recognized something I'd forgotten. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do isn't fighting to hold on. It's knowing when to release, when to step forward with a clear mind, and when to finally see the world without the haze of fear, resentment, or expectation.